Van Harden, an Iowa legend, has recently announced his retirement from radio after nearly 50 years. He's an author, speaker, and the host of a morning radio show on WHO Radio for the last 30 plus years. He's led the station as program director, and under his leadership, the station won 13 Marconi Awards, which is the highest national honor in radio, 5 of which were awarded to him personally. He spent time with US presidents, politicians, Hollywood celebrities, but in my observation, the people that Van enjoys the most are local Iowans, his family, and his friends, and of course his oldest son as well. Van, we're excited to have you here today.
Thank you for having me.
So you recently announced that you are going to be retiring after these many years on the radio. And so the question is, why now? Why is now a good time for retirement?
Well, I've had a long time to think about it, obviously. In a career like that, I have a picture on my wall in my office that's kind of up high, and most people don't see it because it's when they sit, they face me, but it's up in the corner. It's pretty good size, and it's me sitting at a radio control board in 1971 in Perry, Iowa. And, I got the big belt and the leisure suit type clothes and stuff like that. But I got to looking at that and I realized, man, 1971. So I started doing the math. I thought, that was 50 years ago. And, people ask me all the time, do you ever think about retiring? And my stock answer is, yeah, at 2:45 every weekday morning. I think about it because that's what time my alarm goes off, and that's a little harder to get up now than it used to be. But at any rate, I decided, 50 years would be a logical, good time to do it, and I'm in good enough health that I can, still enjoy myself after I retire. So on January 8th, 2020, I went into the boss's office and I gave him my 1 year notice. Some people give like 2 weeks notice. I gave him my 1 year notice. And I figured, I've been in management there before, and I know when anybody leaves, no matter who it is, it's quite a thing to figure out what are you going to do next. And so I thought, if it was me, I'd love having a year to try to figure out what our next steps are. So that's why I did it. And the 50-year mark was probably the main thing. And like I said, I think I'll really enjoy getting up on my body clock rather than having not one but 2 alarms to make sure I get up. And not that I haven't enjoyed this. I mean, it's been a wild, wild, fun trip. I wouldn't trade getting up for anything until January 8th of 2021.
Well, you started working with WHO Radio in 1986?
Yep, late 86.
Late 86, okay. And back then, they thought that the radio show would begin at 6 a.m., correct?
Well, we talked about that, and we had a discussion, and I said, everybody else's radio show starts at 6 a.m. Maybe we should start at 5. And I thought, I can't believe I'm saying that, because it means not much earlier I'd have to get up. But we talked about it, I said, well, yeah, that's not a bad idea to get a jump on the competition. So we did that, and we had this huge 1 hour buildup. We got a huge audience before the other guys even got on the air. So it worked.
And I remember that you said when you initially started getting up as early as you do all those years ago, getting up at 2:45, it was really difficult for you. But they told you, don't worry, it will get easier.
It'll get easier, yeah.
Has it?
Nope. No, it really hasn't. And the odd thing about it, everybody just assumes I'm a morning person because I've done this for 34 years there at WHO, and I'm really not. I mean, the job I had before this, I was on KRNT. I was on from 10 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. Didn't have to get up early, didn't have to go to bed early, and so this was a whole new thing for me. But it was like a plum job. I mean, it's probably the best radio job in the state of Iowa and at a big station, and so I thought, yeah, I think we can make that thing fly. And so we did, and we started early.
Well, and when you started the radio show back then, WHO was a very different station, and they weren't doing nearly as well in the ratings department when it came to the morning show. And you really helped turn all that around, and you've been able to maintain that for 30 plus years. What did you do to make the morning show different and unique and successful?
Well, when I got there, you're right, they were not doing well at all. And when I got there, they were actually playing music. And I can remember sitting there for the first month or two, we played music. And I knew from listening to WHO and growing up what the station was. It's a community station. People want to know what's the weather here, what's happening in the news here, what things are going on in the community here. And the music just kind of got in the way. I mean, we didn't really have enough time. So I told them, everybody's playing music. We're not an FM station. We're not delivering music in stereo. Let's just make this a fun, newsy show about Des Moines and about Iowa and about personality. And so they said, okay. So we did that. And I didn't know this till later on, but I'm told that the guy that was the president of the company was Palmer Broadcasting back at that time. I'm told that he thought when they hired me that they were getting kind of an NPR, National Public Radio kind of show, you know?
He was sorely wrong.
He was wrong, and I'm not too sure he was very happy about it for the first few months. Because I like to have fun, and we do fun contests and make fun of things, and then the ratings started coming in, and they were just going up and up and up. And all of a sudden they decided, maybe this is okay. So I got to keep my job.
Not a bad deal. And one of the things that people know about you is just how creative you are and how unique you make your show. And the story you just told, I mean, really gets into how you tried to be different. Instead of just being better, you also wanted to be different and unique. So where do you get your inspiration? Where do you get all these creative ideas? I mean, you're always doing remotes, you're going to unique places, interviewing unique people, crazy contests all the time. I can't even name all of them. There's been so many over the years. So where do you get the ideas for all the crazy things you do on the air?
Well, the basic idea of this radio thing is that we have a 50,000 watt clear channel radio station, and we got 4 hours. What are you going to do with it? And standard radio wisdom, the consultants and everything would say, you do this. You go down this road right here. And to me, I thought, people would be more interested in this if we kind of went off the road from time to time and down in the ditches and maybe out in the cornfield and did things. So I think the first week I was there, we went on top of a grain elevator in Waukee and broadcast the morning show from up there and threw paper airplanes down to people. And some people that were older, that had listened for a long time, didn't like it. They didn't like me very much because it was change, it was different. But like I said, fortunately for me, the audience kept growing and growing and growing, and it worked.
The audience that you have now is as big as ever. It's massive. It's the #1 radio show in the morning in Iowa. And for you to step away now, what's the most difficult part of that? Is it leaving that audience?
Yeah, I was program director there for 30 of the 34 years that I've been there, and I remember when I retired from that part of it, I started leaving the office at noon. I still got there at 3:30, but I remember feeling guilty about leaving, walking down the hallway, and I thought, well, you nincompoop, you've been here since 3:30 this morning. And I kind of am getting a few of those feelings about this, because I don't want to let people down. I like people and I don't want to let them down.
Right.
But here again, you nincompoop, you've done it for 50 years. That's been a pretty good run, and we've helped a lot of people, and we've laughed with a lot of people, and it's worked for everybody. So I may have a little pang from time to time, but that's fine. I can see the runway, and it's been a great flight, and we're going to land it.
Personally, for me, I mean, I'm going to be sad to have you off of the radio every morning because I listen every morning, and obviously a lot of people do. But I do also feel good about it in that I'm excited for you to be able to take it a little slower and also actually sleep in.
Yeah.
You mentioned your program director role, and I find that most people have no idea that you were a program director. And in reality, in my opinion, that's been your real job for 30 years, and the radio thing has almost been something you've done on the side. But as I mentioned earlier, I mean, you had a lot of success in the program director role, you know, deciding what programs will be on WHO, winning all those awards we talked about and everything like that. So when you did step down as program director 4 years ago, was that 4 years? Yeah. I was very excited about that too, because now you could go home earlier, because for 30 years, Van would work, you know, from get up at 3 a.m. and he would start working at 4:59 and often not be done till 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m. And so your work ethic is obviously pretty impressive. So for you to be able to slow down now is exciting.
I was fortunate during that time when I think back about it, because I was way heavier and I've lost a lot of weight. But I think back about that. I was the program director of WHO. I was also the program director of KXNO, the sports station. We put that on the air. And I did this morning show and got up early. And I was pretty much the promotions director for both stations, coming up with promotions and stuff. And there's a lot of, there was a lot of pressure at certain times about certain things, whether that was coming from the corporate office or ratings or the sales department. And I think back about all those things happening at the same time. And I feel very fortunate I didn't have a heart attack and die, because it was the perfect storm that I could have. And so that's why I feel good about how I've been weaning out of this thing a little bit at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things people ask me the most over the last few years has just been, when is Van going to retire? I don't think I've ever heard you talk about retirement until maybe a couple years ago or so. But you're not someone who works to retire. You have always worked because you love it, you enjoy it, and it's been something you're really passionate about. So you've interviewed thousands of people over the years, thousands of people, and for everyone from celebrities to local Iowans. Can you tell me what's one of the best interviews you've ever done that you enjoyed the most?
I've enjoyed them all, and you kind of alluded to this when you started our conversation. I mean, I have talked to presidents and dignitaries and all, but I really enjoy talking to people that listen to my radio program, because I like to know, what do you do and why you listen to that? You know, and some of the we had a guy call in today. I said something about, I heard, and I don't know if this is true, but I've heard that there's a funeral home museum in Marshalltown. Yeah. 3 minutes later, boom, the guy that runs it called up. And I mean, I love talking to people like that. So, you got a funeral home museum? Yep, it's in an old Casey's store. So, but I mean, those are the kind of things that bring me great joy. I love people, and it's just fun to talk to them. And, you know, when you feel that way about people in general, you feel a little bit different about the president, because, you know, he's just a person too. And so I guess, I don't know if that answers your question, but just people in general. I talk to, we've been out together and go to the gas station where I love talking to people.
I'm well aware.
Wherever we go.
I'm well aware. You had a TV show for a number of years too, which people might not remember. What was that like?
Well, this was maybe a year after we started the radio program. And the TV general manager was very aware of how poorly the radio station had been doing. And so he was kind of watching it, and he saw these ratings going up and up and up and up. So he called me into his office, and he said, hey, we'd like you to do a TV show for us on Channel 13. And I said, say what? He said, yeah. And I said, well, I'm not sure we can because we're pouring all our time and energy into this radio show. And he said, don't worry about it. We'll have a producer and we'll set up all the guests and we'll do it. All you have to do is come and sit down and host it. And I said, well, yeah, we'll give it a try. So we did, and I'll never forget the first day I sat in the seat and one of the producers came up and dropped literally a ream of paper in my lap. And I said, what's this? They said, that's your script. And I said, no, it's not. Because the general manager that wanted me to do this said, you know, we want to start a lot longer newscasts and have more conversation between anchors and weather people, and you guys are very good at that. And we think if we gave you a TV show that we could learn from you how to be more spontaneous. And that's pretty much what happened, but it also taught us to be a little more business-like sometimes because they're very scripted, you know, on time and all of that. And so I found out later the camera crew had bets on how long the TV show was going to last. And they were all guessing 3 weeks, 3 months, maybe 6 months. And we went for 4.5 years on a local TV station. And I think one of the fun things about it was one of my favorite shows followed us. We got canceled and Seinfeld went on after that. So,
if you're going to be canceled, Seinfeld is a good replacement,
that's right.
I guess. Yeah, that's not so bad. You've had a lot of success over the years. You've been very blessed. What is one of the most valuable things that you've learned on your professional journey that really contributed to your success and helped you?
When I first started this, I was playing music back in Perry, and I was into records, and I was into tape cartridges, and I was into queuing up records, and I got enamored with microphones and transmitters and all of that. And it didn't take very long to figure out that's not what this is all about. It's all about the people that listen to you. And, you know, you go out and meet them, just like I said, I was fascinated by that. And I was out of radio for 2 years where I worked for the American Lung Association as a PR guy and a fundraising guy. And I found as I was driving down the road listening to radio, I thought, why are they doing that? Why don't they do this? And I'd go into a gas station and I'd talk to somebody and meet somebody really interesting and have some great on-air material. And I had no place to, so we could go home and tell you maybe, you know. But that's, I think the thing that I've learned so much is, in bedside manner is such an important thing. Not only on the air, but I don't care if you're a guy that fills up gas tanks, or you're a doctor, or your bedside manner makes such a big difference. If you, in fact, I remember one time, I don't know if you remember this or not, but when you were a little kid, you and your brother, I took you guys to, I can say the store because they're out of business, a Kmart store. And we went in and I told you guys before we went in, I said, okay, we're gonna go in, we're gonna buy a couple of things, and then when we go to the, excuse me, to the checkout counter, I want you to watch the person that runs the cash register and just notice it. And then when we come back out in the car, we'll talk about it. And so we did, and just exactly what I thought would happen, happened. And a girl checked us out, and we got out of there and we sat in the car, and I said, what did you guys think about, you know, what we just went through, the cash register and everything? And you said, that girl didn't ever smile. She never smiled. And Luke said, yeah, she didn't even look at us. And she didn't seem very happy. And I remember telling you guys, this is a golden lesson. Because even if you're just a cashier at Kmart, you know, a smile and a happy attitude makes a world of difference. You know, I have no idea where she is today, but I know she'd be farther if she just would have been,
sure,
you know, a little more open.
Sure, power of positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you've done so many promotions and crazy creative ideas on the air. Can you think of one or two of them that really stick out to you that might be your favorites?
One of my favorites was a long time ago. one of the salespeople who had an account of a shoe store came to me and she said, hey, I've got this account, so-and-so shoes, and for some reason, they have 50 shoes and they're all left shoes. And they're gonna just throw them away. And they were telling her about it. And she said, well, let me go talk to Van, because sometimes he has creative ideas. Maybe we can think of something. And she said, do you want 50 left shoes? And I said, yes. And so what we cooked up was, our traffic reporter at the time was Captain Jack. He flew in an airplane. And so I called him and I said, hey, tomorrow when you're doing the traffic, here's what I want you to say. I want you to say you put your foot up on the side of the airplane while you're flying, you're trying to put your shoe on, and it fell off. And you aren't really even very sure where you were around Des Moines when your shoe fell off. And could our listeners maybe find it? Well, what we did was we gave out those 50 shoes, we split them up to all our staff, and I told everybody, when you go home tonight, put the shoes out, put them under bus benches or put them against stores or just put them out. And so they did, all over town. And the next day we did the bet and we said, well, does anybody find Captain Jack's shoes? And we even had some McDonald's gift certificates. We'll give you a gift certificate if you can find it. And we had a whole ream of them. And so the phone started ringing off the hook. Hey, this is Jane over on Southeast 14th. I found it. It's over here. Hey, this is Bill out in Johnston. I got it here. And we just put them on the air, one right after another. And it was so funny. And I don't know. I don't think I've ever heard anybody do anything quite like that. But that's what made it unique.
A great example of creativity and something that got people talking with zero budget.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, so moving forward, once you're done with the show and everything, what are some of your plans? Because I know you're not going to sit home and do nothing.
Yeah, well, and you know, I'm a Bible guy too. I've been a Bible teacher for 40 years, and I have never ever seen the word retirement in the Bible. Nor do I remember anybody really doing it. And so I don't think I could ever do nothing. I mean, I love leisure stuff, but I already do a lot of speaking, and I've written 2 books, and I got another couple of books banging around in my head, and Becky and I want to do some traveling. I've not really had a chance to do a lot of traveling just because I was so busy at work. We're going to do that, and you know, not only longer trips, but we love to do day trips around Iowa too, because there's fun things to do. So, you know, a little bit of all of that, and kind of like the radio program, fly by the seat of our pants.
Well, and I'm pretty sure that this isn't the last we'll hear of you on the radio. I have a feeling you'll be coming back every now and again and making an appearance here and there.
Yeah, I speak on behalf of a lot of companies that want me to help them sell their services or products, and the ones that I've talked to them to let them know this is going to happen. And most of them, without prompting them, said, could you still do our commercials? And I said, well, we can talk about that. And I'd be happy to do some recorded commercials. But I told the management down there, I said, as long as I don't have to come in at the last minute and do something, I'm open to that. Plus, if it'll help you, the station, I'm open to that too. And the station likes to have us do tours where we take listeners on trips. And, we were thinking about Hawaii, and we're thinking about Israel, and we're thinking about Scotland, and after all this COVID stuff, if it ever does get over, we'll probably take some trips like that too.
Sure. And then I have to ask you about Iowa. I don't know of anyone who's a bigger Iowa advocate than you are. And you love the state. Probably no one is more knowledgeable about all the towns and all the people and the industries and businesses and organizations in Iowa than you. Tell us, why is Iowa unique and why is it special?
I think everybody from every state says about their state, it's the people. But I would dare any state to match our people here. They are so down to earth. And yeah, there are some fringe people. I mean, but as a whole, they are just so down to earth. We did a Christmas tour at our house. The Chamber of Commerce asked, would you open your house and decorate it for Christmas? And we want people to come through. And they had, I don't know, 4 or 5 other houses too. And I said, we talked about it. And I said, yeah, we can do that. And the people at the radio station said, you're nuts. Somebody, a public figure like you, should never let strangers in your house like that. I said, no, I know this audience and I know these people. And so we did it. And we had 750 people came through in 3 hours. And they were the nicest people you'd ever want to meet. I mean, it just was fabulous. It was fun.
Well, I was there.
Yeah.
And I absolutely agree. And one thing that I've always noticed is that the people that listen to you, I mean, are just the absolute most wonderful, kind, nice, authentic people you could ever meet.
Absolutely.
And I mean, that matches you. You're very authentic as well. But I was there for the whole time, and the people, I mean, a huge stream of people came through, and they were all just so excited and happy to be there. And, you know, I've met many, many listeners over the years and always enjoyed doing so. A great group of people and just a great community that you have really created. And that's always been a huge joy to me as well.
Well, and we all know in life you go through ups and downs. And I think about that when I sit behind the microphone. You know something right now? Somebody just lost their husband, or somebody just lost their job, and then on the other hand, somebody just had a baby, and it's just, you know, when you think about these people as individuals and not an audience. I mean, it's good they can sell advertising to a big audience, but those are all individuals and they all have very unique things going on. Some of them have sad times, and a lot of them have very happy times, and some of them is just another day.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you for sitting down and doing this interview.
Yeah.
I hope that everyone's found this really interesting, and you're always the one who interviews someone else, so it's kind of good to put
It's
you
weird
in the
having
hot
the
seat.
shoe on the other foot.
Yeah, it's good for you.
I just want to say how proud I am of you and your brother and sister, and you just couldn't make me prouder. And so I thank you. It's special. I have been interviewed by other people, but this is real special. So thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. And thank you for tuning in and checking out this interview with Van. Maybe we'll do this again here sometime soon.
Yeah.
And obviously, we all wish you the best in retirement.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us today.